ripe, recumbent, and docile. I squeezed my stained fat fingers into my Reynolds American Backy pouch.
Jerry, the obese mailman, gave me the nod as he marched to the next apartment complex, drenching tax returns in Cheeto dust and sweat. The elderly Russian spy who once looked like Madonna glared at me from her second-story window.
My toe, bloated and impregnated with pus, will one day reek of chalk and arthritis, the same stench floating into my nostrils from that second-story window. Jerry tripped on his shoelace. My associates chuckled. It was a Wednesday. My self-appointed general counsel advised me to indulge in monomaniacal drug experimentation. The associates never opposed it.
Randy, the 67-year-old toothless wizard, arrived on his steel and rubber razor. The hot cement molded a fragrance of dead rats and crack fumes. Randy circled around me twice, then patted me on the back.
$6, young man.
He croaked.
He resembled an elderly Jacob Reynolds, almost a hillbilly Gandhi.
I coughed up one crumpled Georgie and an Abe.
He smiled. I asked him where my centimeter-wide paperback copy of Psychosis was. He winked with both eyes and told me to check my pockets.
Sure enough, there she was, resting in the crevice of my Dickies jumper.
My associates, now well aware Lucy had arrived, were itching to converse.
Inevitable park bench antics occurred. Another brother from the firm had just returned from Portugal. A fresh pack of Marlboro Reds appeared out of his back pocket.
My lungs wheezed.
I placed a flat-plane cubic universe on my tongue. I couldn't tell if it was bitter or not, but that wouldn't have changed a thing. I sat in McDonald's watching a woman stuff diabetes into her throat while her child rolled around the floor like a dying elk covered in tangy barbecue sauce and dried Diet Coke. A man approached me and my associate asking for a Jackson to catch a bus back to Tuscaloosa. One of his eyes was gouged out, empty like my stomach. I said nothing and stared into the abyss where his vision once originated. I couldn't breathe or think, just sweat and stare.
My associate advised me the merge isn't working out anymore, so we exited the establishment.
My averted gaze and hyperfixation on my own offbeat breath irked my subconscious.
We arrived at the
C train. Piss stains and background chatter corrupted my cerebrum. I felt at home. A man in a mink coat, 3 sizes too small and covered in spunk, was standing 15 feet away from us, stashed in the corner of the station.
I checked the time and immediately regretted looking at the screen provided by Steve Jobs. Upon raising my head, I caught a whiff of a nasty stench circulating my vicinity.
I looked to my left and saw Mr. Mink unloading a U-Haul truck-sized scat at the edge of the platform. It hit the ground like Play-Doh and began melting into the cracks of the floor. My associate regurgitated his meat pie brekkie onto his bleached Levi's. I was in awe of the consistency of the Subway soup that was now crawling towards me. Before a sentence was formed, the train arrived. We entered the third car and stood by the door. However, a hasty man in a green tracksuit shoveled his way through and forced us to the center pole. My associate was now drooling at the mouth in a Quasimodo-like formation. This couldn't be good for the company. In my train of thought, I seemed to miss out on the commotion that was commencing. I was front row. A man in a pinstripe suit smoking a cigar in between the cars of the train was now shouting in pig Latin.
I
heard radio chatter and peeked my head around.
I heard radio chatter and peered my head around, hiding behind my lifeless coworker. I watched as 3 pigs called for backup in pig English.
It smelled like a situation.
I looked at my associate, his drool now over a foot long, dangling towards his feet.
The man insisted they have to shoot him if they wanted him to get off the train.
His maniacal laugh was followed by a loud bang and an electrical scent. I was awake and disoriented. My associate sucked the drool back into his mouth and mumbled. I watched as the man in the pinstripe suit shook viciously. He hit the ground at about 48 frames per second.
The plump donut enthusiast cuffed him. Pinstripe laughed through its entirety. I was now at my peak. The company was poised to have an excellent quarter.